Welcome, NIRSA. My name is Dr. Wendy Windsor. I'm serving as your current NIRSA president, and I am very excited to be bringing to you the 5th and final episode of Hidden Talents of NIRSA. I have a little bit of a treat for everyone today, as today we're going to take a moment and celebrate our history, and it's time to go back to our roots. So today's call is going to feature some of our distinguished leaders from our historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. I am so excited to be able to bring light the richness of the HBU experience. And I'm really going to look forward to this conversation as we really look to educate all of our viewers and listeners on really the uniqueness of the HBUC experience. So what I'm going to do first is just have all of our panelists introduce themselves. And then we're going to just have a conversation and really kind of share some bits of knowledge and wisdom about their experience. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started with introductions. And let's see, Jordan, I'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jordan Hicks. I am from Winston-Salem State University. I serve as the interim director. Yeah.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Jordan. Jessica.
Hello, I'm Jessica Allen. I am the Assistant Director of Facilities and Operations at Texas Southern University.
Thank you, Jessica. Yolanda.
Hello, everyone. I am Yolanda Thomas. I am the Aquatics and Outdoor Pursuits Coordinator at the Prairie View A&M University.
That's right. And last but not least, Gerald.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or depending on where you are. My name is Jerry Davis. I'm the Director, Wellness, Intramural Sports, and Aquatics at Tennessee State University. I'm just glad to be here.
Right. Thank you, Gerald. All right. So let's jump right on in. And so my first question for you all is, in your own words, how would you explain or describe the HBCU experience and what makes it rewarding for you specifically?
I would have to say, I guess I'll start it off, that for me, the HBCU experience has been enriching and just family oriented. And you hear a lot of people who work in the HBCU or attend HBCU that they use the same terminology, family, enriching, just a big welcoming there. So, I mean, for me, it's just been a good family natured environment to work in.
Okay, thank you.
I'll also add that, I think the family word is very impactful because every HBCU I have, even when I got my master's at UNCG, they always ask, how is the HBCU experience? And I think family is a great word for it. And I think just some things that that makes it rewarding is bringing new ways to get physically active in a fun way. A lot of our community doesn't get physically active, don't get involved in fitness. So, just introducing that stuff to students coming in and then, possibly taking it back and giving it to their communities and their families. So that's very rewarding for me.
Yeah, I'll second. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to second and third that as far as family. But as we all know, families fight just as well as they get along together as well. So the good and the bad, but it's every day leaving work for me. It's rewarding, not knowing what our new challenge is going to be the next day, because our students, and I'm sure I'm probably talking about all of our students, I call creative loopholers. They're going to come up with something for the next day that's going to be just as challenging as the past day. But it's always something good to look forward to.
I'm going to say that I'm a product of HBCU. So the experience means so much to me because I was a product of, I'm a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, and it's a unique experience, it's family oriented. And what I've gained and experienced as a student, I'm able to give that back to the students that we have, not just at Prairie View, but I think with every HBCU that we come in contact with. When we go to each other's campuses, it's not like they're someone that's not family, they're not a stranger. It's like you never meet a stranger on an HBCU campus. And I think that we're welcoming to not just our other campuses, but everyone as well that comes to our campus.
I love that, you know, Yolanda, talking about just the welcoming, and what I'm hearing is just the family and how it is such a unique opportunity and experience for everyone. And so would one or two of you be willing just to share and provide to our listeners what are some unique contributes, right, that individuals that work at HBCUs provide? Like what is unique about what you provide to your students and just your fellow colleagues that are there with you as well?
I'll jump in and say, I think that at an HBCU, there's a sense of and a feeling of community. Again, that word keeps being thrown around, but it's true. I think that the staff and professors care about our students physically and mentally, and just overall, just their well-being. I feel it's easier for students to have conversations with people, you know, that look like them, that sound like them, that talk like them, that walk like them. And as it relates to programming, you know, I'm a student advocate. It's all about what they want, but making sure that what they want is within reason. Just having that sense of awareness that if they ask for something, we want to make sure that we're doing it to the best of our ability, and then we also want to make sure that our students follow through. So I think the uniqueness comes from that we can actually kind of tailor make programming based on our students' needs.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
And I'll also add, I think at HBCUs, you get the opportunity to learn every job. You know, I've heard at larger schools, there's a lot more red tape and kind of staying in your lane. And I think HBCU gives this unique feeling of good and bad, that you might have to do certain jobs and you have to wear different hats. And then I also would like to add just the career growth. You know, we talked about that family feeling, and we have that tight knit community that we have with other HBCUs, especially the ones in North Carolina. You know, one of my students had the opportunity to get a job at Central just by kind of having that community, having that family feeling between HBCUs. So I think that's another unique thing that HBCUs bring.
I'm going to add to that our students, faculty, staff, they get to see us live and in motion. You know, they get to witness what we do every single day. It's not, I would say it's kind of like a reality show, but in a good way, because one of our mottos at Prairie View Rec Sports is witness my fitness. And so that means that we are the example for our students. So I can, as an aquatics coordinator, I'm able to get into the pool and teach water aerobics, and that encourages our students. Well, if Ms. Thomas is doing it, then I can do it too, you know. But it also challenges our students because they get to see that we're real people, that we're live, it's uncut, and it's authentic. And we get to develop, you know, being the professional, we get to develop those organic relationships across the campus, those collaborations with other departments across the campus, with our stakeholders, with our community, to make it an authentic experience, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, just piggybacking off of Miss Yolanda, with the uniqueness and seeing people in that space, and it's not just one, it's multiple people that you can see yourself in, and, you know, all skin folk and kinfolk. However, with that being said, the variety of different cultures, different backgrounds coming into this HBCU experiences, it gives them that chance to see themselves in not just one individual, but multiple people in this space.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing. And Yolanda, I'm gonna steal your quote. I wrote down "witness my fitness," right? Because I try to do that here, and I do. And let me tell you, I'm not gonna share my age, but them witnessing my fitnesses, they were at my house, they'll be witnessing me in the bed as well, you know, and those aches and pains, right? And I'm also gonna chime in a little bit on what Jordan said. You know, you were sharing about the good and the bad of the experience, right? And we're not gonna use the word bad. We're gonna say challenges and obstacles that you may have to overcome. So would anyone be willing to share, what are some of those challenges that you have to face at, HBCU?
I would say, coming from an HBCU, I believe the main barrier for us is the funding, you know, but not letting that funding be that obstacle, that barrier. Trying to see past it and be creative, be resourceful in your ways of getting, students to come into your program, to come in to utilize the facility in unique ways that we may not have it this year. We may not be able to get those intramural champion shirts, or we may not get those extra basketballs that we need, or cleaning supplies for the operations team, but we're resourceful in the ways that we're not letting that be the ceiling for us. What can we do to get past it?
I believe one of the I don't want to say the barriers or obstacles, but challenges I will use would be having a seat at the table, with especially an organization like NIRSA, making sure that there's a seat for us. Where how I've overcome that is not having a seat, but creating that space and creating that seat. I came from a background of coaching competitive sports with swimming. And so I had to create a seat to where someone that looked like me and that students could look at me and say, well, swimming is a place for me, and create that seat by contributing what I know in my experiences. And so with being able to do that, I've been able to overcome that and create that seat, not just my seat, but a seat for someone else.
Thank you, Yolanda, for sharing, and it actually brings me to a question that I really want to make sure I ask each of you, because you touched on it, right, about, having to overcome that challenge of getting that seat at the table, especially within NIRSA as an association, right? So I want to dive into that a little bit more and really have an honest conversation about how do each of you, right, think that or want NIRSA to recognize, support, encourage, be involved more with our HBCU institutions?
Well, I'll first say that I think NIRSA is doing a really good job with the scholarship opportunities and travel opportunities, as well as the HBCU flag football and basketball tournaments. So I think those are, good opportunities for HBCUs. But I also think that HBCUs probably need a rep for themselves. I know we have regional reps, but I think it would be good for an HBCUs to get their own specific reps, because just going to different HBCUs where there's intramural games or fitness things, there's departments that are kind of behind and need catching up. So I don't know if having a regional rep is enough. We need somebody specific for us, and then we need it within that regional rep. We would probably need help with like traveling. Some of the issues that why HBCUs don't go there is because of that funding. So how can we get more HBCUs involved as far as traveling to these locations, or stipend for these club teams, and then also helping with fundraising and scholarships. I think a lot of the departments, like I said, are a little far behind and just need that help of how do we get to the table of talking to these corporations to get funding for it, like we talked about, funding for the department, funding for travel, funding for conferences and stuff like that. And then the last one I'll speak on is establishing those rec departments. There's several HBCUs in North Carolina, and then, they have maybe one person in each of in these HBCUs. And it's like, if we want them to push them into getting the NIRSA and doing the work that we know needs to be done in our communities, they're going to need more help establishing their rec department.
Very good. Thank you. I took some very diligent notes there, and I appreciate the honesty. Others?
Yeah, I would agree. The scholarships, I feel, we have our founders scholarship. We have other scholarships that that NIRSA provides for students, professional staff to attend these conferences. But I feel as though if they were more directed to HBCUs, possibly naming some of these scholarships after founding members. Especially I'm, all into the founding members, because at Texas Southern we had 3. with the founding members.
Yes, you
And
do.
so that's just something that I connect with myself. And everywhere I go, I let them know 3 members come from our university. And also recognizing those founding schools at conferences, at open sessions, so that the students are aware, because a lot of students who go to HBCUs don't know this information.
Yeah.
You know, so when we do our intake, our training and orientation from our staff, the first thing we talk about, NIRSA, day one, you know, the 11 founding schools, what all entailed in it, because it makes a difference when they are aware and they know that, you know, HBCU started it, and how do we keep that longevity within this network? Because it's a big network now. And I feel as though, you know, scholarships is one of the ways to kind of bring them in, which is helping them get to the conferences, naming some of those scholarships after founding members, and, you know, kind of leading those into that.
I love that, Yolanda. I mean, great ideas there. And I'll say to this group, you know, I didn't specifically go to HBCU, but it is deep in my family. One of the founding schools, Tuskegee University. So I want to give a shout out there. So I feel you on that. Giving it more recognition is definitely needed. So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to add, if I could, because I'm kind of the new kid with NIRSA representing from Tennessee State, but I got a chance to attend a conference in Birmingham about a month or 2 ago with NIRSA. And it was really exciting. But I think the ask would be the information that everyone has given you, the information that they gave, some good feedback, because the same question was asked, how can NIRSA show up more for our HBCUs? I think it's just taking the information back and actually doing what we're actually asking, as opposed to just being a drop off or just a good happy moment for a minute, and then the next conference, nothing has actually really changed. So just taking information back and really doing it so that it doesn't feel like there's a disconnect. And when NIRSA may feel like the HBCUs are kind of veering off, we're going to get them excited again, but we never do anything. So I think it's just more about follow through than anything from my standpoint.
I think one of the things I came from the HBCU experience as a student athletic trainer, and I'm going to say growing up in the NATA with Renee Shingles, and I say this all the time, those were prominent leaders for me in NATA. So when I was introduced to NIRSA, my expectations were kind of the same things that I experienced in NATA with the National Athletic Trainers Association. One of the things I have to say, and you want us to be honest, is that one of the things that I see in 2015 when I started was that we want NIRSA to show up, but we also have to show up for each other. We also need that collaboration with each other as HBCUs to support each other. I remember when I first started at Prairie View, you know, I created some programs. Like one of my biggest programs is Tube and Flick, where the students were able to get into the pool and watch a movie. And I shared that with TSU, and I think that's one of their programs that they still have today. But I was able to go to actually a regional conference and share what I did at Prairie View to not just Texas Southern, but to everyone, and to support each other. And I think the support starts with us. And then by collaborating with each other, we're able to go to the conferences. So, you know, my answer would be, I want to be able to see us presenting at conferences. I want to be able to see us bringing what we have to offer and the good and everything that goes along with it to other institutions so that we can collaborate with them as well. You know, in Texas, it's just not Texas Southern and Prairie View. You know, we have other institutions, Wiley College, you know, some of the smaller colleges and universities, you know, in Hawkins, we have a school there. We have Houston Tilliston. We need to reach out and collaborate. And I think NIRSA can help us reach out and collaborate across everywhere. To bring these programs and to bring the awareness of, like we said, what HBCUs are, you know, not just to us, but to others as well, and how we started, you know, the foundation of NIRSA, what that is. I think that's very important that we know where we started so that we know how we continue to grow and enhance our HBCUs.
Yeah, thank you, Yolanda, and thank you, everyone. I mean, this to me was very impactful, right? And the fact that Gerald, I hear you, about making sure that there's some action. And this is why I wanted to do this call, right? Because I did want to make sure that, everyone is hearing, right? So the call out, right, for more involvement, for more engagement, for more opportunities is being heard from all of our community. So once again, I appreciate each of you sharing. So is there, I would say, anything that we did not talk about or cover or share that you want our listeners to know before we sign off?
So for me, the last thing that I want listeners to know, that getting involved in the HBCU experience, and it's just mostly just me speaking to HBCUs that are looking to get more involved with the network and getting themselves out there. I say, start regionally, and then start going to smaller conferences like ERSL, where I met Dr. Davis for the first time, the other TSU, just to get your feet out there, just to see what NIRSA has to offer, and then how you can, get yourself involved and start presenting at conferences and even volunteering for the conferences. Because again, I feel like just volunteering your time, that's what helps you get yourself acclimated in. But again, it's like Yolanda said, just getting the word out to them, getting them more aware that there is a space here, but we as a people have to make sure that we're doing it for ourselves as well.
I think that collaboration is important, and especially, I think I mentioned in Birmingham about just marketing and marketing material. Uh, there's 3 other schools, probably less than 2 miles from Tennessee State, which is Meharry Medical College, Fisk University, and American Baptist College. And I have a connection with them where we do things all the time. So just taking the information from you all, taking it back to them so that we can I can give them the information so they can be involved as well. So they're eager and excited. And I don't want Tennessee State just to have all the glory. I want to make sure that the other schools around us are able to use the resources as well. So
What I would leave everyone with, I believe that all of our HBCUs have amazing support from each other and from our university and our colleagues, and we support each other as well. I know my big brothers or big sisters over there at Texas Southern, and I do call upon them several times to ask questions. And I would say, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you don't know it, then we have to seek and get answers. But one of the last things, we always talk about how people always have that saying, or that saying is about when you have lemons, you make lemonade. For me, I'm a true Texan from East Texan, and we're in the South, and my thing is sweet tea. So I always say, I take the lemons, we make the lemonade, but I put something extra in it and I make it into sweet tea. I enhance the experience, and I just challenge everyone to enhance your experience at the HBCU level or in other colleges and universities. And don't just take those lemons and make lemonade. Make sweet tea out of it. Make something different and unique out of those situations.
Well, I'll say that I definitely appreciate this call. And y'all have definitely encouraged me to reach out to other HBCUs in the state. Winston-Salem State's pretty close to Livingstone, Johnson C. Smith, A&T, and then there's a couple that I've just never met any of their directors. So, y'all have definitely encouraged me to reach out and see how I can help them get involved with NIRSA and ERSL and, potentially the annual conference, because, it's in Florida next year. So that's definitely something that a good amount of HBCU should be able to go to. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I second that. So, well, way to close out my last episode. This was truly remarkable, and I'm gonna say it. We are looking at truly some of our hidden talents within NIRSA. So, thank you all very, very much. It's hard to believe that my year is almost over. And I've thoroughly enjoyed each one of these episodes, and you know, to our NIRSA family out there, just thank you for all of the support throughout this year, and I hope to see many of you in a couple of weeks in Phoenix. So thanks again, everyone. See you soon.